The things that really stood out were things like we learned how it took us a while to figure out how to most effectively give script changes and things like that. It's primarily stuff about communication in the rehearsal hall and how to make that happen most efficiently. So my job didn't really change drastically. It was just sort of remembering that things take a little longer because we have to wait for the relay of information, the sort of delay of interpretation, and things like everything has to be explained in a more visual way. It felt like a small thing to me, sign names, and then I realized this is a huge thing. This is a huge conversation that needs to happen with everybody, with a lot of people involved, and a lot of input has to go into it. And it didn't even occur to me that that was because playwrights name their characters. You just give them a name. It's not a thing. It's sort of not a big deal in Huron culture. Names don't carry as much weight, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, but I found that really interesting. But I was more surprised at how much didn't change in the room, and sort of other than, the visual descriptors and things like that. Once we got used to that, once we got used to the channels of communication and going through interpreters, it feels very comfortable now, and it feels very normal. And it felt very normal very quickly, which was kind of surprising and lovely. Adam would write a new page or make a change to a line or something. With a group of hearing actors, I can just read out what the new line is. But it's much easier with deaf actors, we found, especially last year in the workshop, we found that if we projected the page onto the wall and everybody saw me type out the change, that made things go so much smoother. It was way better. Because it's visual. In this process, we didn't have time to set up the projector every time there was a change, so I would just go sit between the actors with my script and have them watch me cross out where things were, and then I would call out for the hearing people at the other table. I would say, this is the change, and so it could happen simultaneously. It's really important to remember everybody take their turn talking, which is again something I'm hearing people talk over each other all the time. You have conversations where 4 people are talking at once, and you can process that and talk at the same time, but it doesn't work that way in this situation. So yeah, it was just sort of being very mindful of etiquette and making sure that everybody finished what they were saying before you start. And if we're starting, okay, so start from page 9, the 3rd line down, and then once you say we're starting, we have to start, because if you add something in after that, people are already ready to go and they're not looking at you, so we have to wait to get eyes again, and that takes forever. So we're sort of remembering not to make little aside comments that don't matter. Everybody that was involved was really, really eager to try and make the show accessible. Everybody was it was exciting for everyone. You get complacent and you're like, no, this is something we have to really stand on our heads and figure out. How do we make sound design accessible to a deaf audience, to deaf actors? Richard was doing things like putting subs underneath. He put subs in the audience, but then the actors can't feel what the audience is feeling, and so they're left out of access, and that's not fair. So we need to figure out a way, so we put subs under the stage so that they can feel the vibration, right? Things like that, where it's just everybody was really, really intent on making sure that they were doing, to the best of their knowledge and ability, whatever they could. And I think the important part was that everybody was willing to be adaptable. And if we got feedback that this is not working, okay, switch, let's do something else. Because that's, I think, the most important thing, is just being willing to not get stuck in the way you always do it, and let's try something new. If there are stage managers who are interested in working with companies who work with deaf actors, I would tell them first, take a class in Notes in ASL. It's been invaluable, and I'm so glad that I came into this with at least a base knowledge of the language. Yes, there are interpreters in the room, and yes, that's great, but if there's a side conversation happening, if something is, it really helps me to just be able to say directly to the actors 15 minutes, like that kind of thing really makes it so much easier. Just try it, just be flexible. I think a stage manager's best attribute is their ability to adapt and a sense of humor. Personally, I think the biggest thing is just language acquisition. My ASL has improved drastically in the last 2 months, which is amazing, and I'm so excited about it. The interpreters are 100% integral. There would be no rehearsal process, no show, no nothing without them. the number one thing, if you do nothing else, if you learn nothing else from this experience, the thing you need to do is get a good interpreter. It's really important, and it's something that you have to remind yourself that if someone is reading, they can't hear you, and if someone is looking somewhere else, they can't hear you, and so it's like reminding yourself that you need to have their eyes before you can talk. Like, again, it's deaf actors, I feel like, need to get off book faster than hearing actors, because if they're looking at the page, they can't hear each other. And so that stuff is really important, and just for hearing people to remember, because again, it's not something that comes into the forefront of our minds when we're dealing with each other, because I can be writing down a note and still hear what you say. I think that theater should change things. Theater should make a difference. It shouldn't just be blind entertainment, and I think that we are actually changing something. I think that we're changing people's outlook and people's minds, and a lot of people who probably before said, well, that's too hard, we're not going to do that because that's too hard. We did it, so I think that will probably show people that it's not too hard, let's try.